Hello and welcome to another belly dance class online with me, Jill. Thank you for being here. It's very nice to meet you. This video is about technique, and I wanted to talk about hip drops, hip lifts, hip stick kick. So these are all variations of one movement that kind of originates in a sit. The feeling is that you want to convey is that you're sitting. It's a very much like, I'm relaxing now. I'm so cool. It's like a very, just like, like in Middle Eastern dance, this is kind of like a quintessential movement that you will see lots of people doing. It's very popular for good reason. It's a really fun movement. So how do we do it? How do we do it safely? I will show you now. So you're going to stand with most of your weight on your right foot. I would say about like 80-85%. Now my left foot, I'm standing on the ball of my left foot, and I am holding my foot relatively close to my body. It's not way out here, but it's not so far back that it's hard for me to isolate. It's just like nicely placed in front of me. My supporting leg, my right leg, is soft. The knee is not locked. It's not bent too much, and it's definitely not locked. It's nice and soft. Your left foot is popped. You're going to engage those core muscles we always talk about. Support your spine, support your lower back. Open your chest. Bring your shoulder blades back. And you can do something with your arms that frames the hips. So you can have your arms like this, you can have your arms like this, you can have your arms like that. Also, not only is my weight very much in my supporting leg, as I engage my core to support my spine, and I open my chest and squeeze my shoulder blades together, I am leaning back a little bit, which means that my weight is a little bit more in the heel of my supporting leg than it is in the ball. It's not really evenly spread across my foot from front to back. Okay, so it's more in the heel, everything is engaged, knees are soft. Engage your core to lift your hip. Notice how I'm not using my knee, this is using my knee. I'm not using my knee to lift my hip, I'm using my core. So when you first start out and you are developing that core strength, the movements are going to look smaller. That's normal if you do not have a lot of muscle tone in your pelvic floor and in your abs and stuff. And that's another part of why this dance is so good for our health, especially women's health, because it really massages all of these organs, all our internal organs, our pelvic organs, and it just helps keep the blood flowing, which is obviously good for those organs. So I'm on my supporting leg, my knees are soft, my left foot is popped, I'm engaging my core up and down. Bring it up, let it drop, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Try the other side. So now my weight is mostly on my left. My right foot is on the ball of its foot. I do a posture check, I engage all of my core muscles, I open my chest, I lean back a bit, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So you can practice things like changing your wrists, flexing and extending your wrists every time you do a hip drop, hip sit. So it's like, for 1, my palms are facing down. As I lift, and I'm like drawing that energy in, I'm flipping my wrists, and then I open them for the drop. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Good, and you can try it on the other side. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Very nice. So that is the base of the movement, and then there are other ways that we can express it. So what that means is the accent is now bringing my hip up instead of bringing it down. So we would go and 1. So the accent is up, and then I let my hip return to neutral in between hitting beats so that I can have somewhere to go for the next hip lift. Because if I kept my hip up and then I wanted to do another hip lift, there's like nowhere for it to go, So it's all about like extending and returning. There is always this energetic balance in this dance. So let's try hip lifts. Everything is exactly the same. Posture, soft knee, open your shoulders, engage your core, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Change sides. and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Let's do drops. Drop, and drop, and drop, and drop. Stay where you are. Lift, and lift, and lift, and lift. Let's do the other side. 5, 6, 7, 8. Drop, and drop, and drop, and drop, and lift, and lift, and lift, and lift. Very nice. Hip sits, hip drops, hip lifts, hip sit / drop, down, hip lift, where the emphasis is on the up. Next thing I wanted to show you is hip sit kick. So what that means is we're going to go back to working on our hip sits, our hip drops, and for every other sit, you're going to release your foot. It looks like a kick. It adds a really nice aesthetic to your hip sit. In actuality, the only thing that's happening is that you're releasing that foot and bringing it back. Release, bring it back. Let your big toe, the great toe, oh my gosh, I never forgot. Like I saw that in an anatomy book one time and I thought it was just the most hilarious thing. Anyways, the great toe. Let your big toe, the front of your toes, feel like they're sort of sweeping the ground and coming back. This is what the movement looks like. It's actually a very soft movement. So calling it a kick is sort of a misnomer. Kick is just what the movement looks like. So we're going to go back to doing our hip sits, our hip drops, and every other drop, we're going to release. Drop and release, and drop and release. You're still doing the same thing with your hip. You're just releasing your foot every other one. Kick and drop and release, drop and release. Let's try the other side. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. Very nice. That one, if you're a beginner, can take a little bit more coordination. So the last thing that I wanted to show you, the last of many variations on hip sits, because there's so many more that we can do together, which we will do, is to take yourself around in a circle with your hip sits, which I really like. So let's go back to working with our balance on our right foot and our left leg is popped. So you can imagine that when you release your foot, there's a little bit of momentum that brings you, that could like accentuate the angle of your hip sit. So what am I saying? Does that make sense? I hope it does. So basically what that means is that as you, in that second after you release your leg on a kick, you allow it to take you around. So my supporting leg is mostly doing the work, and it's kind of doing this, a little like swivel on my foot, just ever so slightly changing my weight so that like when I'm starting out on this first hip sit, my right foot is fully pointing the front right diagonal of the room, the front right corner. So after I release and I want to turn, I'm just going to do a little 1/8 of a turn to now be facing the right side of the room. And then when I finish that, when I do the next one, kick, I'm going to do a little turn again to face the corner, face the back, corner, and front. So this is how it looks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's actually, it's not while I'm doing the release, it's as I'm bringing my leg that I just kicked, as I'm bringing it back, is when I do my little swivel. And obviously, like I'm barefoot, I'm on hardwood, it's a little bit sticky right now, so it might look a little bit exaggerated, but that's basically how it is. I'll show you how it looks going around in the other direction. Please try it with me. 5, 6, 7, 8. Sit, kick, turn, 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 sit, kick, turn. 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's just a little taste. I have lots of different tutorials on my YouTube channel, in my playlist that is specific for belly dance classes. Please do like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed that. I have some paid products as well that are linked below. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for being here today. Mwah. I teach online belly dance classes. I'm all about holistic health, mind, body, spirit. I used to be a registered nurse. I worked in adult education and public health for many years. And in all that time in the medical system, I was learning belly dancing. And I was just saying to myself, it was so interesting that after so many years of having an interest in health and healthy lifestyle, which was what got me into nursing and adult education in community health, that I actually gained so much more wisdom and improvements in my mental, emotional, spiritual health from belly dancing than I ever got from anything I had come across in our Western biomedical system. So one reason for that is because the Western biomedical model is built in such a way that it's meant to address serious problems in a highly technical and highly specialized way. It's not really about healthy lifestyle or preventative lifestyle. But what ends up happening is, because it is the dominant lens through which we view health in the West, especially in North America, it impacts how much we prioritize preventative health and healthy lifestyle, which is actually so important. You know, we can't live these unhealthy lifestyles and expect them not to catch up with us, or expect, you know, a chronic disease to develop like diabetes or, you know, heart disease or something like depression, arguably also a chronic disease, a chronic mental health condition. I say that because it's something that I've been dealing with for 20 plus years in my life, and I just accept it as a part of my psyche and a part of my energy and my body and my psychology, and I've had to learn how to manage that. So as I was saying, I used suggestions of the Western biomedical model for many years, and they kind of helped. Like, I was sort of maintaining status quo, but I wouldn't say that my resilience or my ability to handle extra challenges or extra stress was in very good shape. And then what happened was, when I started dancing, that was what that feminine wisdom and that embodiment is what really kind of solidified things for me and taught me how to ground into my body, which, as we know by now, thank you very much for all of the people advocating for mental health online, we know that grounding is a very powerful way to deal with anxiety. And if you're not sure what that means, please do ask, or stick around and find out. Like, share, and subscribe, and you'll find out, because I talk a lot about it. It basically means being able to stay in your body and stay present and not get carried away with the anxiety or panic attack that is trying to pull you into stress, you know? That's what grounding means. So I find that belly dance is very grounding, because it teaches you how to be in your body. It teaches you how to maintain your balance, how to be flexible. And it's just this very interesting, like, metaphysical experience where I found that as I learned to do flowy, soft things with my body, all of a sudden I was accessing more flow and softness in my life. And I was like, that's super interesting. There's got to be something there. So anyways, that's what we're here to do. Thank you for listening to my little speech.